Here's something that might shock you. Even when a major retailer's sales are plummeting, their stock price can actually surge. Sound backwards? Welcome to the bewildering world of modern retail economics, where JD Sports just proved that sometimes falling sales can be exactly what investors want to hear. But here's where it gets controversial. While JD Sports celebrates a 5% stock jump on Wednesday morning, their UK sales numbers tell a dramatically different story. The sportswear giant just reported a concerning 6.1% decline in revenue from their established British stores during the 13-week period ending August 2nd. To put this in perspective, that's not just a minor dip. It represents a significant shift in consumer behavior that should have retailers everywhere paying close attention. So what's really driving this sales nosedive? The answer reveals something fascinating about how retail cycles actually work. JD Sports found themselves battling against what industry insiders call tough comparatives, essentially competing with their own spectacular performance from the previous year. Remember, the men's Euro 2024 football tournament? That event, combined with women's explosive enthusiasm for trendy sports footwear like Adidas's iconic Samba and Gazelle sneakers, had created an almost impossible standard to match in 2025. And this is the part most people miss. When faced with declining sales, JD Sports made a bold strategic move that many traditional retailers would resist. They aggressively slashed prices across their online platform, particularly targeting women's and children's footwear categories. This price-cutting strategy raises a provocative question. Are we witnessing the beginning of a retail price war, or is this simply smart adaptation to changing consumer expectations? The ripple effects extended far beyond the UK borders. JD Sports' overall group sales tumbled 3% during this period, with only their Asia-Pacific operations managing to buck the downward trend. Their US division wasn't immune either, experiencing a 2.3% sales decline, though this actually exceeded expectations given the challenging backdrop of new import tariffs introduced by the Trump administration throughout 2024. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist that might make you question everything you think you know about retail success. Despite these declining sales figures across multiple markets, JD Sports shares rocketed upward by 5% on Wednesday morning. Why? Investors were breathing a collective sigh of relief that the company remained confident about meeting their full-year profit projections, even though those same projections had been quietly downgraded multiple times in recent months. As a cherry on top, the company announced a substantial £100 million share buyback program, essentially betting on their own future recovery. Régis Schultz, the chief executive who oversees JD Sports' global empire, which includes not just the flagship JD Sports fashion chain, but also American brands like Finish Line and Shoe Palace, European operations Sport Zone and Career, plus UK outdoor specialists Blacks and Go Outdoors, offered a nuanced perspective that reveals the complexity of today's retail landscape. Across our regions and fascias, in general, we see a resilient consumer, albeit very selective on their purchases, Schultz explained, adding a cautious note. We therefore remain cautious on the trading environment going into the second half of the year. This selective consumer behavior Schultz describes might be the most important trend retailers need to understand right now. Today's shoppers aren't necessarily spending less money. They're just being incredibly strategic about where and how they spend it. This shift has created what retail experts are calling a bifurcated market, where some categories thrive while others struggle. Schultz did highlight some encouraging developments that suggest the company's strategy might be working. In the U.S. market, they saw improved performance after strategically deferring several major product launches into the second quarter, combined with stronger momentum in clothing sales and online channels. Meanwhile, across mainland Europe and the UK, despite the challenging market conditions, the company reported solid underlying performance in clothing lines and newer footwear collections. But here's what should really concern traditional retail investors: JD Sports. Struggles are just one symptom of a much larger transformation happening across the UK retail landscape. The warning signs were already flashing bright red on Tuesday when retail share prices crashed across the London stock market, creating a domino effect that highlighted the fragility of consumer confidence. And this brings us to perhaps the most controversial question of all. Are we witnessing the death of traditional retail as we know it? Consider this bold move by Frasers Group, the company behind Sports Direct and House of Fraser department stores. Rather than doubling down on conventional retail, they've just acquired We Do Play, the operator behind trendy social leisure venues, including flip-out trampolining parks and putt-putt social crazy golf experiences. James France, Fraser's chief acquisition officer, made a statement that should send shockwaves through the traditional retail community. Today's announcement marks a significant milestone in our strategy to diversify and create more dynamic consumer and leisure experiences. Translation: even major retail players are hedging their bets by moving into entertainment and experience-based businesses. This raises a thought-provoking question that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Is the retail industry's pivot toward experiential offerings a smart evolution, or are companies simply abandoning their core competencies out of panic? Are we looking at the future of retail, or are these just desperate attempts to stay relevant in a digital-first world? What's your take on this retail revolution? Do you think companies like JD Sports and Frasers are making the right moves? Or are they missing something fundamental about what consumers really want? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I have a feeling this debate is just getting started.